Okay. Let's mitzvah Aleph. HaMitzvah ha'achas esrei hu shetzivonu lilmod chochmas haTorah. Whatever that is. You know, I could have imagined, but it's just off the cuff. I just I get involved. Kapach has a discussion over here. I'm not sure what he's talking about. Okay, but I was wondering that Pshuta Shel Mikra ki hi chochmaschem uvinaschem be'enei amim might be referring to Torah. And Chazal make droshes about the astronomy or whatever, but I would assume that it's referring to Torah. So that's what you could imagine that's called Chochmas HaTorah. But I'd like to look into this. That's not what I really want to speak about this evening. But what I'm really focusing on, what I'd like to talk about, it says lilmod ulelamed. So this is a little odd. Why he stresses lilmod lamed, v'zehu shenikro Talmud Torah, v'omer v'shinantam levonecha. So that's lelamed. V'loshen sifri v'shinantam levonecha ela talmidim. V'chein hatamoitze b'chol mokem shal talmidim kuyim bonim shenemo v'yotzu b'nei anavim. So I know I mentioned this, but this is very odd because l'cheira the talmidim are called bonim only because of the relationship. So the first time you teach him, 5 words, they're called. I'm not sure when they become bonim and what exactly is it, but it's because l'cheira the word ben is building and creating him, but l'cheira that's the shinantam levonecha the talmidim is only after they are born. See the discussion. So I'm not sure exactly what went on over here, but the upshot is that you don't need physical children, but you're the children in the sense that you've built them up, you've connected them to God, you've connected them to Torah. Okay. So I'm not sure when this starts and when this ends. Yishnatim levonecha, because they're called yours. So it's a certain level of learning, and you've taught them something, and that's not what the point is. The point is trying to say you have to teach everyone or anyone. So I'm not sure how you call them bonim, and at the same time you're obligated to teach them even before you have a relationship with them. I don't know how that works, but that's maybe that's my problem. And then it continues. V'shom nema v'shinantom shiyu muchudadim b'teich picha she'odem sholcho lo yitem begamgem lo. Okay, so I just want to tell you over here, and then we'll get back to what the point is. It's very clear to me, there are discussions of how you have to know Torah, that you should wake someone up in the middle of the night and be able to spit out the answers. Out the gum game, it should be, it should be almost like a reflex. like in there are stories in the Rav's family that when Rab Chaim and the Biskarov were discussing something like in the wee hours of the morning, and Rav Moshe was already sleeping, so they decided that the answer to the question, Rav Moshe would know. So they woke him up and they asked him the question. He screamed out the answer and went back to sleep. So, it was like nothing, it's out the gamge. But that's not what we're interested in over here, because that's not the purpose. What the Rambam is interested over here is that a priori, after the pasuk Vishinantum Levanecha, you could have assumed that the mitzvah is only lelamed, not lilmoid, and that we have Vishinantum, that you could interpret Vishinantum independent of Levanecha, like cutting out the pasuk, and boom, then there's a mitzvah even to learn by yourself. And this, that the Shiur mechudot beficho, keshad misholecho, that's window dressing. That's not the interest over here. That's what I would say. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay? Elo oimer. Elo oimer lo miyad. Okay? But, and it also doesn't mean, because you have to teach him, and the mitzvah is to teach, but it doesn't show him in that how you have to know it. Otherwise, the quote doesn't make any sense. I think that's what he's trying to say. Okay. So, I want to go slowly through this. And the we have Vishinantam Levonecho is Lelamed, and you can interpret a very amazing thing. The Chachmei Meseris said you can interpret the word Vishinantam just as an independent idea, and it means you're supposed to learn also. Yeah. Now, next point. So, what I'm stressing over here is that they're not two separate mitzvahs. There's not a mitzvah of Lilmod and a Lamed. And L'cheira, it's impossible for that to be. Because if you learn out from the same pasuk, Vishinantom, that means both to learn yourself and to teach others. It couldn't be two separate mitzvahs. If you have two tzivuyim and there happen to be two in Yonei Atera, you can make them into separate mitzvahs. But if it's one tzivuy, even though I'm not sure, maybe I'm not. If you have one tzivuy that you can imagine that within it, the two in Yonim, you couldn't make it two mitzvahs because it's one tzivuy. The mitzvahs cannot go beyond the number of tzivuyim. That's what I would have assumed. So, according to the Rambam, there's no issue. It's certainly one mitzvah. Comes of Sadigoin in the Sefer HaMitzvos of Sadigoin. Which was recently published. Yeah, here it is. From page 13. The ninth mitzvah, Vatshiyis, Limud HaTorah Ushmirasa. I guess learning Torah is only a mitzvah if you keep it. It's not until, I don't know, but that's what it seems to say. Limud HaTorah Ushmirasa. And this can be very important later. K'fi shetzivtzivo v'limadetem oisem u'shmaltem la'asoisam. We'll come to this soon later, but okay. V'limadetem oisam means talking about you should learn with yourself. And then v'asiris lelamed libonim u'bnei hachasus. Those people who are under your wings. So I assume this means the your Talmidim, I guess. K'fi she'omar v'limadtem oisam es b'neichem. So it's two separate psukim and two separate mitzvahs. So then he quotes a pasuk, ukva nichbal. Okay, let's just finish with it. So, let's just go on. We'll come back to that because I want to get back to Upside the Goin's pasuk because v'limartem v'asisem. We'll get back to this, okay? V'limartem v'asisem. We'll have to see what this is. V'limartem v'asisem. Where this is and what this is. Okay. Okay, so we'll see. Okay, well, let's just go slowly. So, strange things in Perek Aleph Halacha Daled in Hilchos Talmud Torah. Shloisha shemitzuva olav. Oh, excuse me, sir. Shekashem shemitzu olav lelamed es benoi kachu mitzuva lelamed atzmoi. So it's very strange. He learns that the din of lilmoid is lelamed. Okay, and everything is lelamed, but that doesn't make any sense. You know, a teacher could teach if he knows something the student doesn't know. But if the student and the teacher know the same thing, so does that mean that he's teaching or they're learning together? Can a person teach himself? And it means it's really a malami, he's his own Rebbe. So I'm not sure if this means anything, but it's an interesting Lashon Rambam. L'lamed es atzmai. Yes, the truth is, when you read the pasuk, v'shinantom levonecho v'dibarta bom. So the bomb, okay, is in plural, okay? It's an indefinite pronoun reference in the plural. Vishinantom, okay. Vishinantom levonecho, okay. And you're teaching your sons or your Talmidim, v'dibarta bom. And we don't know where the bomb is going on. And l'chera, going back to the mitzvah before, the mitzvah's Kriyishma is derived from the Baltabom. So it's very strange. There is a day in the Gemara that mitzvah Kriyishma is the Rabbanon, and with the Balta goes, Bama goes to Talmud Torah. And then the sentence reads a little better. But the way Chazal do it, and maybe it's a Pirush Makubal, whatever it is, we're not sure what exactly happened. Vishinantam Livonecho, V'dibalta Bom, they're two separate mitzvahs. And the Bom is going on Divrei Torah, which haven't been mentioned. Vishin B'dibalta Bom, where, it's really indefinite pronoun reference. Okay. Less than 1 second. Now let's go back. What is the tzivui and what is it going on? Vishinantom. These are dvorim wa'ele. Vishinantom levonecha v'dibalta bom. So v'dibalta bom. See, it's a very strange thing. But this is Kriyishma, or Aseh mitzavcho hayoim, or this is Talmud Torah. The pasuk, if you ever thought about it, is a very difficult pasuk. The two psukim together. But what the Ram is doing, according to Chazal, that the mitzvah Kriyishma is deraisa, that's the way the Rishonim go, and that's the way the Ram Gemara. Okay. So you end up that there's a mitzvah Kriyishma and a mitzvah Talmud Torah. And the pasuk has both of them. Now, the Sifri, let's go back. See, the Rambam here is basically quoting the Sifri. I'd just like to read the Sifri inside for a second. Sifri in Veschanon, Livonecho elu tamidecho, v'chein atomoitzi kol mokum shetamidim kruyim bonim shnei v'yetzu b'nei anavim asher bebeis kel el Elisha v'chi b'nei neviim hayu. Were they children of the Nevi'im? Mikan letalmidim shekruyim bonim. So it means the Bnei Nevi'im are not children, and they're still called children because the Talmidim who are din. In Talmud Torah, that a student is called a ben, even though he really is not a ben. In Chelik Aleph, Perek Zayin, al zeh ha'inyan mi shelomad ish inyan echod v'ho iluhu das, and he taught him something which he did not know. One thing, that's the Mishnah and always makes a big deal about it. Ki ilu choylid ishahu. So the Ram's dealing with the question I was asking: when do you become a child? So the Ram answers just by teaching him and teaching that one thing that makes him the child. So then you can understand. It's very true. That person who will become your child through teaching him, even though he's not your child when you start. It's a very interesting shot. Okay, next. ba'asher hu bal adasahu. So he is the person who has this knowledge, and by imparting it to the other person, it's as if he gave birth to him. So I'm just going to have a parenthetical remark. It's not for us at all, but just an interesting thing. The B'nai Nevi'im, the Ram says, Misnabim, they're really not Nevi'im yet. They're trying to get there. Okay? So we have no clue, but that's not because we're not Nevi'im. We know what it means to be a Rebbe of a Novi and what exactly he does. In other words, he teaches them how to get out of consciousness, to meditate. The question: what's he teaching him, and what das is he imparting? Because to Ram, it's really, you see, I never would have compared the teaching of the teaching of Torah. Is imparting knowledge. But maybe the idea of teaching and being a Rebbe is not a question of imparting knowledge, but developing the student's talents. And that you can imagine in the B'nai Nevi'im also. So I'm just a little bit confused about this. I'm just sharing my confusion, but this is just an aside. Now, yeah. So this, there is a pasuk. So Ram quotes the pasuk. This, I want to tell you the different gisos over here. Different nuschos, not gisos, nuschos, okay? In both Kapach, in his Ksav Yad, and Ibn Tibbon, it says, V'limadatem v'asisem. Okay? Now, I have something to share with you. There's no such pasuk.
Yeah. Yaakov Emden says that.
Okay, who?
Yaakov Emden and Gemara Yavamas on the side.
You don't need it, but
yeah.
What's that? Whoa. Yeah. There's no such pasuk.
Yeah.
So L'cheira, he's referring to the pasuk in Dvarim, Perek Hey, pasuk Aleph. V'limadatem oisom u'shmartem la'asoisom. Okay? So now, let's go back to Rav Sadigoin. V'atshis limud haTorah u'shmirasa kifi shetziva v'limadtem oisem u'shmartem la'asoisom. So this, you see, if you put together Vishinantom, you say that's the mitzvah, so then you have Lilmod and Lelamed in the same pasuk. And you could have said Vishinantom Levonecha is Eila Abonim, and that's Talmidim. And there's a separate pasuk, V'limadatem Oisam, Ushmatem Laseisom, and there's the learning oneself. And maybe one could have said, okay, that there's a big difference. I just trying to. This is speculative, okay, but I can imagine that it's 100% true, okay. I could have imagined that if a person is sitting and learning and is smoking a cigarette on the cholent on Shabbos, is walking out of Divrei Torah, which they claim in certain yeshivas that was going on in Europe, whether it's true or not, it's irrelevant to me. But since the mitzvah says, "V'limadatem oisem ushmartem la'soisem," I could have imagined in Talmud Torah a person in his own individual learning, if it doesn't go together with Asiyah, it's nothing. However, when you teach Talmidim, good, you have to teach Talmidim Hagunim or not. But if I teach a Talmud and his mind is not necessary to do it, I'm not sure that should affect my mitzvahs of teaching him. So I could have imagined, as Rav Sadi going, that two separate mitzvahs, and that's ushmaltem vasisem, as v'limadatem vasisem, v'limadatem oisom, ushmaltem lasaisom. And no, that would have been beautiful. But the Rambam flips it and starts in the Shinimantem, and says the Shinimantem plus both to the loimed and the lamed. And then he says that the matem vasisim is a kefo. Okay, so I thought that's interesting, because and this gives you an idea of why the ushmaltem, how you could have imagined lumot or lamed could have been two in yonim. Okay, lumot is my obligation to extend the Messiah, to teach others. Okay, and that doesn't necessarily have within it that the knowledge. I only know after I teach the student that he comes up and he becomes a big tzaddik afterwards. That's really, it would be nice, but that's not the mitzvah. Whereas in myself, if I have kavanah, you can always think lo lishma. It is a mitzvah of Talmud Torah, but that's I'm not the call Rab and this. But if the person is shlom and aslasais, that's not Talmud Torah. That's what I could have imagined. Okay, Beseda. Now, interesting is there's another which is a lot better. I found in Bloch that's Ksav. That, I don't know if it's Ksav, Bloch used to take different Ksiyat. He wasn't even aware that the thing, but what's called Ksav Yad Cambridge, which publishes Bloch, in there it says V'limadatem oisam, which is based on the same pasuk in Perek Hey, Dvorim pasuk Aleph, but it's not that the Rambam is paraphrasing the pasuk and writing it as such a pasuk. Because the beginning of Madatem Oisam, Ushmaltem La Seis. Okay. Okay. But that basically, whether you have Bloch or you have Imitibin or Kapach, you're ending up with the same thing. The shadow is just how you can it and what the words say. Okay. However, there is another text in Ibn Eov, in the Targum Ibn Eov, okay, and there it says, Ushmaltem va'asisem. Okay, so here, it's like, Darsheni. What is it's a pasuk in Dvorim? There are two times in the Torah that it says this. I'm not even sure which one it's referring to. It's in Dvorim Dalet Vav and Dvorim Zayin Yud Beis. Okay, but I have no clue what happened over here. I did find it in Ibn Eov, and there are, I think I discussed this once, that I was discussing with Mark Herman, maybe I bought him, he bought me a few eyes, whatever it is, he claimed that the Ibn Eov was an earlier Madura, and maybe it was written in the wrong way, and I'm corrected it, but this doesn't have any any explanation. I don't know what it means. That's what it says. Ushmartem va'asisem. Okay. Okay. So according to B'Tibin, the Ram is just being makatze the pasuk. V'limadatem oisem ushmartem laseisam. Ushmartem laseisam is almost like vasisam. Okay, say that. Next. This is nothing. Now things become interesting. Okay. This is Papa's a pot, you know. I think, you know, the truth is contrasting Rhapsody going to the Rambam is very interesting, especially since he's quoting the pasuk Ushmatem Vasisim. He could have said that the mitzvah Talmud Torah of learning yourself and teaching others Chok Betzim Yisei Dinoi, and the Rambam resists it. Okay, that you know that has merit. Okay, now here we come to. Here we come to something which is very of great interest. Okay. Then the Ram quotes another pasuk. Okay. And the other pasuk goes like this: Laman yilmadu. Lama'an yilmadu, which is in the Parsha of Hakel. It goes like this. In the volume Lamed Aleph, Pasuk Beis. I'll read I'll read the whole thing now from Pasuk Aleph and Pasuk Beis. B'vo kol Yisrael es pnei Havaya Elokecha, and I'm skipping a little bit. Tikra es hatera zeis neged kol Yisrael biozneim. Okay, בסדר. Hakel esom, hu anoshim v'anoshim v'ataf, v'geicho asher b'shorecho, means everyone. Leman yishma'u, u'leman yishma'u. Hashem Elokeichem v'shomu la'asois es divrei haTorah azois. Okay. So the Rambam understands that Lama'an Yilmadu is another source for the mitzvahs Talmud Torah. So this is very odd because the Laman Yilmadu is a tam. And we know from Shirish Chamishi that time HaMitzvos are not minyan HaMitzvos. Unless you tell me, I don't know what to talk about. Loisa say you have to look at Shirish Chamishi again, but you know that's the way that's the way it's generally understood. Okay. So how can the Rambam have a shirish to tell you that time HaMitzvos are not in the minyan, and then quote time HaMitzvos as a kefil? It's an amazing thing. Okay? Now, next. So, suggestion over here, maybe under certain circumstances or depending upon context, let's try to understand what a tam of a mitzvah is, okay? So let's go to the simple cases. I'm going to go backwards, okay? The simple cases where, for example, in the volume Hey, Chavav, Mi'itain, V'hoye Levovim Zeh, Lohem Liyiroi Sim Lishmas Kol Mitzvosei Kol Yomim, Lema'an Yitav Lohem Ulivneim La'olam. So it's a reward. So that's understandable, correct? A reward. And you have other cases like that. Leman Yitav Lohem Ulivneim La'olam. That is a reward. It's a schar mitzvah. B'chol haderech asher tziva Hashem Elokeichem, eschem telechu, leman tichyun, v'toivu lochem v'arachtem yomim b'oretz asher tirshu. It's again. It's schar mitzvah. Or, okay. Yeah, the question is, sometimes Leman is not a schar mitzvah. And in those peculiar cases, what is the Torah trying to tell you? And maybe if the purpose wouldn't be, in other words, I'm doing X because I want you to do Y, okay, I'm doing X in order to give you Y. So that's a plus, okay? But if I tell you to do X, if the tzivah Torah is to do X, in order you should do Y, could you imagine that Y is not in context a tzivui? HaMitzvos, which is mentioned in Hakel as a lama'an, it's a double portion. It's not a pras. The Torah wants you. Hakel is a catalyst to learn, and the Torah wants you to learn. So this type of tam is be'emes and tzivu in a mitzvah. Okay, let's just read it. Uleman yilmadu. And if you assume we're not mitzuyvin in Talmud Torah, then the pasuk doesn't make any sense. You're supposed to be hakel in order you should learn. So is there mitzvah to learn or not? And if there's no mitzvah to learn, the pasuk don't make no sense. Excuse the double negative. However, so there is a reference here, a remes, to a mitzvah Talmud Torah here. But it can't be counted in minyan mitzvahs because of Shorish Chamishi. Okay. Let's take another example. Let's take a few examples, okay? Loisechol of chometz, shivus yom techol of matzos, lechem oni. It's close to Pesach, okay? Till that point is okay. Ki b'chipozen yotzoso me'eretz Mitzrayim. Okay. Leman tizko es yoim seischo me'eretz Mitzrayim kol yemei chayah. You understand yourself, Leman tizko es yoim seischo me'eretz Mitzrayim. By definition, it's not a promise. The assumption is that you should do it. So here again, there's an assumed mitzvah over here. So the mitzvah of Sechus Misirayim is a time to mekayim the mitzvah of Achilas Matzah. That's what it's saying. So then we can begin to understand the Rambam in Hilchos Kriyishma, Perek Aleph Halacha Gimel, u'mitzvah lahaske yitzias Mitzrayim b'yom u'layla, shenema l'man tizkas yom seischa me'eretz Yisrael kol yemei chayecha. Right? And maybe this is shot that MSB Aseh is the Reis, whatever, okay? Well, okay. But one has to keep in mind that when it comes to Minyan HaMitzvos, the Ram does not count. L'man tizko es yom seischa me'eretz Yisrael Minyan HaMitzvos. So you could have imagined that this is because of Shirish Chamishi. Should we not count timing? And the Memes, I found that Tzlach says this. That Tzlach in Brochos, Yud Beis Amar Beis says that the reason why it's not counted Minyan Mitzvah is because the Tam. But here, the Tam by definition is Merames that there isn't Tzivui. Otherwise, the post doesn't make any sense. So it is an amazing thing that Zechiris Yisrael is a mitzvah, but since it's written in the Torah as the Tam, it's not the Minyan. We mentioned last time that, maybe it's part of the mitzvah's Kriyishma, okay? Whatever that means, okay. Say that. But here also, L'man Yilmadu, it's not, if it would be an isolated phenomenon, then it wouldn't have been a Minyan HaMitzvos. But to be careful is not a steer to Shirish Chamishi.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's good.
Say, next, you find a similar thing in Shvisas Behemta, even though there's a mitzvah of Shvisas Behemta, it's not a separate mitzvah independent of Shvisas Odom, but it goes into the mitzvah. In fact, the Rambam, I think if I'm not mistaken, you check me out, maybe I'm making a mistake with the number, but the Rambam in Shirish Chi says that the mitzvah of Shvisas Shabbos is a kefil, is mentioned 12 times in the Torah. You don't count it as 12, you only count it as 1. And I think Laman, the Yonuach, is an example of one of the 12. So it's kefil, and you just don't count it. But it can be a kefil, but it's not minyan mitzvahs. So this would be beautiful. But it shows chi. You don't have that much because the Rambam says it's 12, but it's like Chatz Muzuchmir because you don't know who the 12 are. Okay, Frankel says it's this one, some will say it's a different one, okay? But here, the Ram says the mitzvah Talmud Torah l'man yilmadu, and this is the kefil. So once you have this, so then l'man yilmadu, then you're okay. So this, I thought, these two things I think are amazing things in mitzvah Talmud Torah. One is upside to go to the Rambam and what the two psukim might be and how it might have been a separate mitzvah in the Rambam. Is this it? That's one. And secondly, that there could be a kefil of the man Yilmadu. Okay. So that's what we have. Next. Now comes also something very interesting. Okay. Next. Now, let's read the next line. And let's just, I asked that we read this line and we have an open mind, okay? And let's just see what the line says, okay? Ukva hispazer hazirus. It's in many places. It's all over. Pizor, okay? It's like it's scattered. Ukva hispazer hazirus al mitzvazo. Okay. Now, just to be in Ibn Tibon Kapach is hazirus. In Ibn Eov, it was hatzivui vazirus. Okay, interesting. It's much more. There's much more backbone in Ibn Eov's rendition, but okay. Ukva, but you see, you have to keep in mind that I'm not interested whether it's powerful or not. I'm interested that the Rambam quotes this in the mitzvah of Talmud Torah. Okay, and he says the kfar hispazer hazirus al mitzvah zo v'lishkeid bo tamid b'makoymes harbe min haTalmud. So I'm saying an amazing thing that one has to learn all the time. Tamid. Okay, so here, in Hilchos Talmud Torah, the Ram doesn't say that. The Ram Perek Aleph Halacha Ches, Kol Ish MiYisrael, and I'm skipping a little bit, Chayev L'Kvoyel Lo Yizman L'Talmud Torah, L'Salmud Torah, B'Yom V'Layla, Shem V'Gisa B'Yom V'Layla. And here the Ram say, no, you have to learn all the time. So the two ways you can understand this, okay? The Ram says in Perek Gimel of Talmud Torah, Halacha Vav, Mishin Esol Liboy Lekayim Mitzvah Zo Kiraoi, V'liyos Muchta B'Kesa Torah Lo Yasich Daita L'Dvorim Acherim. So maybe that's the zirus that he means the mitzvah koloi. And he's alluding to this halacha. Okay. And it's not this tam kesetera, it's the ideal Talmud Torah. Koloi. It's in the mitzvah, it's not tam keset. Or you could take the opposite approach and say there's a stira between the Ram Mishnah Torah and Sefer HaMitzvos. In Mishnah Torah, he says you don't have to learn all the time, and only a muchta b'kesav Torah has to learn all the time. And here, he's taking the position that everyone has to learn all the time. And especially if even Eov's text that sivui vazirus, l'cheira, you should mean that everyone has to do it. Okay, those are the okay. Then v'noshim ein chayavos bo me'omu limartem oisem es b'neichem omu b'neichem b'lo b'noiseichem. So you see one thing from this. See, one could have come, and that's it to work on. You have to see exactly what he wants. The question is, one can come and say, no, women are not chayiv to teach others, but maybe they're chayiv to learn. And that, that I want to discuss now. But, certainly according to the Rambam, that it's all one mitzvah, so then everything is okay. Okay. Okay, next. So that's what we have here. Mitzvah Talmud Torah. So we have three important points. Whether Lelmod or Lamed is one mitzvah or two mitzvahs, or side you go to the Rambam and the various psukim, which is interesting. The Rambam quotes the pasuk of Sadi quotes as a kefil. The Rambam puts Vishinantam and reads it two different ways, and it's Lelmod or Lamed. Then where this whole issue of a man Yilmadu that it actually could be a kefil, which is an amazing thing. And its repercussions, both in terms of Shvisas Behemo and Zechis Yitzrayim. And then finally, this idea of Lishgoid Bo Tamid. Next, Mitzvah Yud Beis. HaMitzvah Ashtem Esrei Hi Shetzivonu Lehoniach. Here, this Loniach, we have no idea where this came from, because the Arabic, the Rambam has the same Arabic in Mitzvah Yud Beis, Mitzvah Yud Gimel, Mitzvah Yud Daled, and Mitzvah tesvo. He has an Arabic word bamal, which means the Maisa or something like that, and we not know what the Maisa is. But there's no reference to Laniach over here. And frankly, and I'll leave you with this, it's not, I have not much to say about this. I'll tell you something. The Rambam has two words that are Arabic words. Arabic is a very rich language, okay. And the word Aseh in Arabic, there are two takes on it. It could be the work of a pashut laborer, a laborer, an unskilled worker, and then there could be the work of an artisan, very skilled, okay? And they're two different Arabic words. The Rambam uses the word for an unskilled labor, but I'm not sure what it all means. I'm just telling you a fact. You can do whatever you like. In these few mitzvahs, the mitzvah of tefillin, shel rosh, shel yad, the mitzvah of tzitzis, the mitzvah of mezuzah. When it comes to Shiur Yud Beis, or let's say mitzvah Samar Gimel, Samar Daled, Samar Hey, Samar Vav, there's a word that he uses. There's a Maisa Kabbalah of the Maisa Chato, the Maisa Oil, the Maisa Chatos, the Maisa Osham, the Maisa Shlomim. Okay, there he calls it Sna'o. That's Sadi Nun Aleph Ayin Hey. Okay, and that is a Tagum Melech. Why Kabbalah Melech? And this is it's I'm not sure we're brighter or less bright by knowing this. I'm just telling you that this is what it is. Okay. I assume Ibn Tibin that he has lo aniach, we check to be in akotza, whatever it is, but this is not a reflection of the Arabic text over here. Okay. He should see vono lo aniach tefillin shalosh. So the question, which I think is a reasonable one, is why is the Rambam makbim tefillin shalosh and tefillin shiyad? The next mitzvah, Yud Gimel, is tefillin shiyad. Especially in the Pasuk, it's the opposite order. Ukshaltam laos ayodecho, voila tatafos beinenecho. But you see, this is not an isolated phenomenon. The Rambam is makdim tefillin shalosh to tefillin shiyad in the Porte Mitzvahs in Hilchos. Tefillin, Yud Aleph, Liyos tefillin shalosh, alalosh, Liyos tefillin alalosh. And the next one, Beis, Lekashrom alayad. His tefillin shalosh is first. Also, in Hilchos Tefillin itself, in Perek Aleph, Halacha Aleph, Perek Beis, Halacha Aleph, Perek Gimel, Halacha Beis, Halacha Gimel, Halacha Daled, Perek Daled, Halacha Aleph, and Halacha Beis, Halacha Yudaled, Halacha Chaf Hey, V'oid, the Ram is makdim Tefillin Shalosh, the Tefillin Shalyad. Okay, so it's not like it seems to be something serious. the interesting thing is, and I'll leave you with that, who have Sadi going on page 82, he also does the same thing. Chamish is lichtov our pashas minatera with the kashtim aragosh b'shas hatfila v'chule v'ashishis shenesimum alayad basmolis, which is amazing. You know what's going on here. So, Mirza Hashem, have a nice week. Hatzloch Rabba.
Did you get my email about